welcome to Recentered. Something slightly different for you today. I spoke with Alex, who was part of the praydog team guinea pig, that's what he told me. And he's a tester for the upcoming UEVR mod. And he was kind enough to show me the mod working in 2 games, going into quite a lot of depth actually on how the mod works and what you can do with it. My mind is totally blown. I don't really know what to say. I've watched this video twice myself, and I'm just going to stop it here and let you watch. Many thanks to Alex. You're a star. Thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to chat with me in like 5 minutes. So I had nothing prepared, and it's basically really just Alex showcasing the mod for you. So I hope you enjoy this, and yeah, I'm speechless. This is an insane game changer. Take care.
So this is UEVR. It's got a little blue UEVR in the bottom as the image, and that's just a zip file. When I get in the game, I turn the volume down. But it's a little zip file you extract, so I just get builds. Like it will just be a zip file like this, and I'll extract it somewhere, and you run the exe, and then I've just pinned it to my desktop. So
you run this before the game, and then it attaches to the game then, yeah?
Yeah, so I've got the game running, and I've got this open. So if you see now in the drop down, I know it might be a bit small resolution because it's 4K, but now I've got Notepad, OBS, and Returnal in the list.
Yeah.
Now if I click Notepad and clicked Inject, it should hopefully come up with an error. It's come up somewhere. Oh no, it's tried to. Actually, I should. It should come with a little error there. But yeah, if you open Returnal, I'm just gonna caveat the fact that I have my headset on.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand it's a bit tricky for you to do all this.
Yeah, let me just check because it's. I see the snowy Christmas world through my lens. Let me just make sure it's on link. So you want to be like in Steam VR or or in the Oculus Home, I think it's loading up. It's loading up. Okay, I'm in. So I'm going to click Inject right now. Just wait a few seconds, and yeah, you see how quick that was?
Yeah. Wow, that was quick.
Yeah. I mean, I played it safe on the podcast, saying like 10 seconds, but it's quick.
Yeah, it's definitely quicker than that.
Yeah. So let me just change to OBS. I'll put my camera on the OpenXR thing so you can see that.
Wow.
I've got like a headset, and you've got that here. So now, because I've selected UVR, and that's like the most active window, I will just click over onto the game. So we're like, it's active.
Yeah.
Apologies, I have like prescription lenses, so I'm just going to take my headset off, take my glasses off. So
yeah, no problem, man. No problem.
I tried doing this in the podcast, and Chris was panicking because I thought I'd secretly surprise everyone by just like playing Lies of P, but he wasn't prepared for it.
No, I should wear glasses in mine, but I don't. So sometimes it's a bit blurry, sometimes it isn't. I just have to try and wing it.
Okay, so I am all good. What makes me worried is I've got some like default stuff. So see, I've just reset that, and now I'm inside the helmet because there's like this weird first-person mode, right? And I can like move my head around. So like the default is inside. So I'll probably just start with this. I don't know, is this big? I can make it a little bit bigger. Framework size, framework size. I'll make it a bit bigger. We defaulted it in the headset to be like a decent readable size, but I guess on stream it might need to be a little bit larger. We have a tick box called desktop spectator view, and I don't know if something changed on your side. If I toggle that.
No, it's still the same for me, yeah.
But that will show like the UI that would normally be displayed on like a TV screen. On the social screen. What should we do? Let me just get outside into third person. I've been playing this for a year, right, of different games, and something still surprised me. So I'm just using like the stick, so for a non-VR person this would probably be pretty sick, but for me it's fine. Let's go out into the third person mode. Why? And the great thing, the game with Returnal, I've got a PS5 controller and all like the haptics and stuff work. So I've become disembodied. And it's...
Oh, my.
And we're just kind of like free look around, so you can look in one direction, but you're shooting over there.
So you can move the cameras, right? You can move it to wherever you want to move the camera and things like that.
Yeah, this is kind of one of my favourite features, actually, and I can't play flat screen games or even other VR games without this. I just... You know, when Street Fighter 6 came out, we're all kind of testing UEVR, and Elliot told me, "Oh, can you go capture some footage of Street Fighter 6 for the channel for me?" And I'm like, "Okay." Haven't played a praydog Resident Evil mod for a while, so I opened it up, and I was I was kind of pleasantly disgusted at how old the RE framework stuff is, because I'm so used to these quality of life features, and how great this.
So with you altering all that on the fly, it's just a button on the gamepad or controller that you can just press to bring that up.
The menu can be opened in a number of different ways. On a keyboard, it's insert, and it defaults with a gamepad or the touch controllers with both sticks in.
Yeah.
Let me just, now I'm thinking about it, let me turn the sound down. Master volume, there we go. Maybe a bit quieter so I can hear myself think. I've got all like lightning going off in the background. Yeah, so both
see, I got it. Right.
Yeah. So both sticks in, open the menu, and you can see in the framework config we have enable L3 or R3 toggle.
Right.
And you got the insert key as the default to open the menu, but you can rebind it. There's like an option to bind to always show the mouse cursor, so you can turn that on, and then you should see a mouse cursor in the middle of my screen.
Yeah.
That's useful for some games that don't have gamepad support, and the main menu you need to use like a keyboard and mouse, but the mouse cursor is invisible. So there's some weird stuff like that. But that L3 R3 toggle we thought was probably a best idea for opening the menu, because you're generally not doing that a lot in games at the same time. There's been a few circumstances when you're using like an ultimate ability or something like that, but you can... I
mean, that's still a pretty good idea that you thought of the mouse thing as well, the pointer, because not a lot of people would have thought of that, so to even have that included, that's quite impressive.
And you can change the font size. You can change the font size as well if you struggle to read it, and like an option to remember where you were in the menu and stuff. At the top, you've got like the advanced settings, like a reset. Input pass-through is like, while the menu's open, it still controls the game, and kind of like transparency options for the. I don't know what that does. I don't know. It doesn't seem to do anything. I don't. I need to ask praydog what that is. But on the right, in the green, are the shortcuts, which when I did the playtest on Saturday with everyone, no one read.
Right.
Everyone was way too excited. I put the headset on, and like, oh shit, I'm in Returnal, right? So yeah, it shows the menu key on the keyboard is insert, the L3 R3 toggle, right trigger are shortcuts. So when you press that, stuff comes up, and left bumper, right bumper moves between these different panes.
Right, I get it.
And then if I grab my actual,
I really like the menu system. I do like that.
Like this is a lot of I complain a lot in the testing chat, and I kind of I can see why it's not public, because if praydog had 1,000 of me complaining about features,
well, this is it.
So you can also, so now I've got my touch controllers, it acts like a pointer, so if you've not got that, you can press A to just point on objects, which is super nice. And you can like move this window wherever you want on the screen. I don't know if that's showing on the shared screen, but
I can see that. Yeah,
you can click and drag it. So yeah, this is, and the grips act as left bumper, right bumper. I think. Why is that not working? Probably it might be something to do with this game and the Steam input. But I'm just gonna put those down for now. I'll go back to the PlayStation 5 controller, which I think for most games, right, out of the 600, I think a lot of games people will just use their normal gamepads. Because it's only really some specific first-person games and third-person games where the motion control topic comes in.
See, I've not got an issue with that. I'm not one of these elitist. What say you've got? If it hasn't got motion controls, it's not VR.
Yeah,
I have to use a gamepad. That's what I used way back when. Anyway, there was no motion controls, so I've got no issue using a gamepad.
Yeah. Another thing actually from the play test we found is, so in this menu, I'll just go to my mouse here just to what's that point. We've got the set standing height, set origin, recenter view. These are quite important when you put the headset on and you're just kind of, it's like the holding the Oculus button, right? Just to kind of recenter everything.
To reset the
Yeah, and right trigger comes up with the little shortcuts, and you can see here that right trigger and B, Y, and X kind of do the reset, view, and offset.
Total, yeah.
But we were saying whenever we do this, we always just do all three at once, just naturally when we've been using it. So
it's easy just to reset everything so it's central for you.
Yeah.
In the view, I get that.
Yeah, and we were talking maybe we'll combine that into one, but there's some the reset camera offset. So if I move somewhere else, that's just B to come back, and sometimes you don't want to come back. You want to stay like really far away. So like people flat screen might want to play like tiny Returnal, right? Like
super FOV mode.
Yeah, like with the Luke Ross mods, I really like playing Red Dead and Elden Ring with the tiny world scale. And actually, it capped out at 10. I did do some experiments, so you can do a. Can I do a control? How did I did a game before. Yeah, you'd have to go into the config to up that to 50, but you can make it really, really tiny. And I think some games can accept higher world scales than other, which I think this is why we've kind of set 10. So in my view, like, I don't know if you can see my camera, but that's like
it's tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of blown my mind a bit, just seeing that you're able to do all these things just on the fly with a couple of clicks and
and the thing is, like,
in there.
I might like this, so I'll open the menu, I'll press right trigger to get the gamepad shortcuts up, and there's 3 pages of shortcuts. So the default page is all the recenter stuff, but the second page is loading camera save slots. So load camera 2, 1, and 0.
You can save all the settings.
Yeah, and then the third page is save a camera slot. So I'm going to do right trigger and X and play for a bit. I'm like, okay, this looks great. I want to go back to normal, default. How quick was that?
Wow. That's unreal, literally.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it for a while, so I've got like the muscle memory.
Definitely, yeah.
But after a while of playing it, I think most people will be like me, and within a month,
get used to it.
Be so used to it, they'll hate when games don't have it. Like it's such a killer feature for me. I mean, just me personally, this camera movement. Let's talk through some stuff. So, because I haven't actually changed some of the things I like, so the framework config I kind of ignore. Actually, I'll go back to just basic, so that we're on the basic settings. It opens in the resolution that your headset's set to. So for 72 hertz, like 1.0 in the software or your Steam VR software, it will open whatever that's set as. I do a bit of an experiment. Here we go. You have to be a little bit careful with the resolution. If you go a bit too much, actually, 3.1, I'll lower it a bit. And you can do a little reset as well if you have any problems. Wow, that's not happened before. So I've just found a new bug in Returnal.
Oh, there you go. See, that's what I'm here for, dude.
Reinitialize runtime should not have closed that entirely. It should just have redone the injection. I can't hear you.
You can upscale it as opposed to upscaling it in Steam, things like that. It does the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing is the extent of problems have literally just been the game closes and I have to inject again, which really isn't been too bad. So I just open up the software again, click inject, come back up, add it back on.
And you say you've got a list of 600 games now as well. I think I was speaking to Scorpio, and you said you got a PDF, or you've got some sort of doc somewhere with all the list of games that do work with this mod.
Yeah,
as well.
So all the testing footage and in the FAQ, we've got the link to the spreadsheet, And yeah, I mean, that was kind of my idea when I first came, because I was working on the PSP VR project, and I joined that quite late, and they had a spreadsheet of all the different games, and I helped add to it later on. And I was like, God, this is great. We definitely needed this. And then when I joined the UEVR project, we didn't have a spreadsheet. It was just kind of like one channel of like offhand ad hoc comments of like, yeah, I tried that, that worked, or like no one had logged what they'd played, stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of like make everything a bit more formal. I mean, we did have kind of the Discord forum, which hopefully will actually be publicly viewable after release. I'm not sure whether it will or not. We might export all that information from there somewhere else. But yeah, it's just like the Discord forum where every forum thread has a picture of the game, so it kind of looks like a grid of games, and you click on one, and it's just...
That's a good idea.
It's just testing videos,
and it tells you
logs.
Optimal settings and things like that. I mean, that's the one thing I was slightly worried about when this does go public. Not more worried for you guys than anything, that you're going to get bombarded by a million questions saying this don't work, that don't work, how do I do this, how do I do that. If you've got something like that in plan already, then I think that will ease some of the burden.
Yeah, because hopefully people will go into that and then start and read the thread. I mean, some of the games have few comments, but some, like Hogwarts Legacy, it's like 150 comment thread about all various mods that can change things, different states of the game over time that's happened.
I mean, I probably have to flatten that because I'm running that with like 100 mods as it is now before we even start adding anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is people have asked stuff about how does this work with other mods, and it's fine. I mean, it's not. This isn't really a mod, I'd say. It's just anything Unreal it hooks into and makes it VR. So if you're running an Unreal Engine game that's modded to hell, it doesn't really matter. It's just an Unreal Engine game. So you don't have to worry about playing like the Skyrim Tetris where modding the game is another like game
that's
in
a nightmare.
itself, right?
Too right.
But so I mean, I crashed the game and I reopened it and I've got all my settings again. So whenever you inject an Unreal game, it creates a folder in a little repository, and you can click a button on the UI before you start injecting, and it has a list of all the folders with all the games, and in there are the settings. So that's what can be shared. So you just copy and paste that or drop something into it from someone else. That's
a good idea. I mean, people with different setups, different graphics cards, things like that, so they can say, oh yeah, I've got running on my 3060, no problem. Here's what I used. Exactly. That's what I'll be copying mostly of.
Yeah. And Narcon made a really good point today. Because we were talking about this profile sharing stuff, and if you've ever been on Nexus mods, there's a million like Reshade settings. Oh, my 100% save file is better than that one. Oh, my Reshade is better than that. And I think we're going to have the same thing here. It's like, oh, well, my UEVR config and plugin is better than that one. You should try this. So
kind of a good thing to have in a way.
Yeah. I'll go back to going through some of this stuff. So that was the resolution. You do have to be a bit careful by going crazy on it. Actually, just thinking now, doing this, we should probably make this bar smaller because, like, you only really move it around
very
here.
Slightly.
Yeah. This button here is a virtual desktop fix. So when I joined the project, virtual desktop just didn't work with this at all. But we've been praydog has been working on it, and this just makes it work. And there was like some weird ghosting thing, some compatibility with virtual desktop, so there's just a tick box for that. Oculus Link and Steam Link are completely fine. They just act like native headsets, I think. I did try it a little bit, and you can choose to inject with OpenVR or OpenXR. So if you inject with OpenVR with Steam Link, it's like an index or something that you've done. So next thing are these bindings. I've been using this for a year and I haven't even touched this. Generally, in terms of like rebinding stuff, I'll just stick to the Steam input. Like if I want to swap X for Y, I'll just go into that. It's just more user friendly as a whole. It's had years of work. This next thing, if this is the UI, controlling the UI, these two do the framework. You can move it closer or further away, like in the physical world, or the game world. But this is the actual game UI. so I can make it smaller. I can bring it closer to
man, that's so impressive. It's just the little things that really please me. Something like that. Yeah. That's really clever.
Yeah. I mean, even with this still, I kind of, we've got the right trigger gamepad thing. I kind of want some shortcuts for left trigger as well. So we'd be kind of saving some space on the left trigger for maybe we could move that around with the
UI setting. Yeah.
And annoyingly, stuff like if I make an offset, it won't save to the free camera slots right now. I mean, this is all kind of like it's such a complicated project now. I think people underestimate the complexity of like what's going on. And I mean, a lot of people in the Crewcast podcast, and PD says this as well, it's like, the praydog team. It's not really it's praydog and us guinea pigs, really, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of like software. So it's just one insane genius being able to like manage this. And it is quite mind-blowing to me. He's Carmack
It's
levels.
crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy just seeing just at the level of the UI, what you've got running here and all the options that you've got.
Yeah.
And how everything alters with just one click. Like you've got it all set up to run like that. It's way above my pay grade.
Yeah, so you can move it X, Y, up, down, in the sky, and then that's the Z one as well. Even just another Z one. You can also click this box and then it follows your head. I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Oh yeah,
but
head tracking. Yeah.
I mean, actually, for some games, it's helpful if you like really need like a stat or something. I think this came about from some game recommendation. We're like, it'd be helpful if it followed the view, and a lot of these features and UI came from, we tested a game and we're like, it would be nice if we had this feature. It would make it more comfortable to play, and once we add a feature like that, it just works across everything. And because there's tens of thousands of Unreal Engine projects, it's like, it'll probably help a bunch further down. Is there any other advanced stuff in here? No, I think this is just all basic stuff. We have a 2D screen mode, which I don't know is not. Hopefully it doesn't crash my game. You can't see this, but this is kind of like a weird 3D TV. So it's not like a floating...
I can see it, yeah.
It's got like a...
So it's a bit like Depth 3D type thing when you've got running.
Yeah.
It's still 3D in your headset, but makes it into a big TV screen.
Yeah, I pity the people that have been playing Unreal Engine games like this, but it's kind of cool. This was literally just to solve some problems with cutscenes or something that displayed incorrectly. Right. We were like, let's pop it up on a 2D screen. But the way he's done it is, it's kind of awesome. Like, now I'm here. I don't spend much time in this. It's very peculiar. It's very 3D. It's like a 3D TV, but plus.
It's a little bit like, it reminds me kind of Alien Isolation. I know it's not in 3D when Alien Isolation does it, but when it pops out to the cutscenes, that's just like a giant monitor in front of you as well. And you're moving your head about, and it's like, what's going on here? And then it comes back and it pops back to full game 3D.
Yeah, because there are some games. So I mean, here I showed you the UI and us moving around. The majority of games, the UI is fine, but there's a few games, especially ones that are using Flash for the UI, it just is like completely broken. And unfortunately, Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of those games where the UI has this problem.
Sorry about that, Rog. That one's for you. He's a big Final Fantasy fan.
So at the moment, I would honestly continue playing the Luke Ross version. But there's a big but. Because we've designed this with no game-specific code or fixes, we can't put in a Final Fantasy VII fix button into the code because it's all supposed to just be epic. We want to avoid any legal issues. But I would imagine I would give it at most 6 months before someone fixes that UI with a plugin for this, and then immediately it would be superior to the Luke Ross version just from running native. Because
I mean, this is it. Because it's open source, right? You've got the option of other people adding motion control, stick stuff, whatever these genius whiz kids do. I mean, not me, obviously, but you've got that option of them adding things to it as well and sharing stuff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, there's little things like there's some clouds up there that are only in one eye, and I didn't notice them. But it's things like that. It's, do I then sacrifice... Actually, yeah, let's talk about rendering mode. So this is running native stereo, which is the same as like a VR game. It's not Luke Ross AER. This is what you would experience if this was a VR game that you'd buy on the Quest Store or Steam VR. But some shaders, like people will create like really interesting shaders and they won't work in 2 eyes for whatever reason. And it does depend on the game and the level, and it might be for a small portion of the game. It might be a big part of the game. So like a game like the Gunk I was testing, like the actual gunk in that you can't see properly and it just doesn't work. So things like that affect the playability that I've put in the spreadsheet. I've done a not working, so it doesn't even like inject. And then there's work poorly, which is generally like there's so many issues you just couldn't play it. Like there's no way you could even play it in the basic functionality. And then works okay is like I can play it, but there's enough issues there. It's kind of, it's not great. I probably wouldn't play it for a long time. Works well is like I'd recommend. I'd buy this. I'd be playing it in VR, no problem. There's be a small few niggles, and then works perfectly is like it's like it's a VR game. There's no difference there. But these issues with the shader, like this cloud up there that's only in 1 eye, we have built some fixes that sometimes universally fix them. So this is a good example. So Returnal has not got the volumetric cloud CVAR, so sometimes that fixes that particular issue. But alternatively, we can just change the rendering method. So in this next tower I was going to show you is the native stereo, synchronized sequential, and then AFR. So if I set it to synchronized sequential, both eyes now display that cloud. Everything's perfect. Honestly, the only difference I can tell changing this is the performance is worse, and there's a little bit of ghosting on the moving character. But we do have a ghosting fix. I just
this is amazing. I can't get over how good this is.
And the ghosting fix actually, it works pretty well. The aliasing is a bit off, and it's generally like if you were a connoisseur of VR, you'd be like, it's not as good as native. But if I put people in for the first time, so I put gravel for the guys in that playtest, and that was on synced, and they were like, oh, this is native VR. I'm like, synchronized sequential, it's not technically, like, it could be better. So
see, we're used to playing stuff like Depth 3D and Vortex and things like that, so, and we're used to saying that's good because majority of the time it is pretty decent experience what you get, but this is on a different level, mate.
So and the synchronized sequential, it does vary between games. So some games are like amazing with it on. The performance doesn't change, like whatever, I'll just turn it on if there's like one water shader. And then there's some other games where I think actually Mortal Kombat 1 was one of those ones where the performance was so bad and there was too many issues with it. But it's not good, and I'll knock it down a few points in the spreadsheet. But I can just change that back to, let me just use the gamepad, it's in on mouse, to native stereo. Again, you can just switch at any second. So if you're playing a game, like actually Returnal has this, so I think there's the 3rd level. I mean, I'm terrible at this game. I think Lance in the part of the guys, he got to quite like near the end, and he found a level where there was like some shadow map that was only in 1 eye. It was really bugging him, and he was like, how do we fix this? I'm on the 3rd level, and at any time you can just go in and change that.
Change it on the fly.
Change it on the fly. But I would imagine, again, within 6 months of this coming out, someone who really loves Returnal will go into that 3rd level and have a setting to fix the shader. So, interestingly, Narknon, who you might see from the Discord, he's got a little dog picture as his profile. He made a mod for One Piece Odyssey, which removed one particular shader effect, and that made that game completely unplayable in native stereo. Like, you wouldn't even be able to attempt it, to completely making it works perfectly on the spreadsheet just from one shader being turned off.
Right.
So some things people will open and they'll think, oh my god, it's like completely unsalvageable in native, but give someone a little bit of time, just figure out what shaders are causing the problem.
Totally.
Either turn them off or fix them in Unreal Engine, and you're good to go. I don't know how much time you have, but I'm willing to go through all of these. It's actually kind of refreshing for me to go at a slower pace.
I've got as much time as you want, mate. I've got much time as you want. I'm probably not talking so much, but I'm just listening to you really, and give a better explanation of what everything is. I'm just wowed by some of these features that you've got running on this. It's just a shame I couldn't get down, like I said, because of this flu. And then, but I did see like PD's video, put it out. I saw GT's video as well, and that's when I reached out to you. So, do you mind, if you've got spare time, we'll have a quick chat about it, can explain it a bit more in depth, so our listeners and viewers can see more of what it's going to be about. And I think me being a big PC VR gamer, and I've said it before on the podcast 1,000 times, how much I miss those times. Like with Lone Echo and Alex are like 5 years old. There's nothing else that's come out that's really wowed me as much as what they have, and there's nothing liable to come out or likely to come out either, because they just don't do that now. Especially Meta's just gone off standalone. So this is my PC VR now.
I was in combat and I literally just changed the camera position on the fly. Let's change it a little bit. Well, I've got a few seconds to change it before getting killed. But yeah, so I'm really excited for all these PC VR users that have been I think neglected for sure. I started as just a Quest standalone guy that got me into VR, and I built a PC for this basically, and VR mods. So I was kind of really lucky to be let in. I'm just gonna reset everything to default a little bit. Let me just keep going over through some of these. Load blueprint code. This is a tick box if you've got a plugin in. You can turn off the UI. The uncapped frame rate. These things are things that get turned on by default that just help it run. Before you'd have to actually change the frame rate. When you open a game, you'd have to go into the game settings and make sure things like the frame rate was uncapped, but that just does it automatically. And even if it says 60 in here, it uncaps it for you. And it will turn stuff like VSync off. But generally, it's overwhelming, honestly. Let's go to input next. Input. I'll put my keypad down because let's try and do some 6-stop in this. I think I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, if you don't mind.
Board exclusive, folks.
So, with touch controllers, this is super uncomfortable. Well, for me anyway, because it's split. So to play it normally, I'd rather use the gamepad if I'm just going to play it vanilla, right? So I'm going to go to U object hook, which amazingly, one of the magic things praydog has done is load every object efficiently and very quickly. So there's 400,000 objects, right?
Wow.
And because that was the question when we were talking about it. I think the initial reaction was oh, that would be really difficult to get everything. And then he was oh, wait a second. And then he came up with some really wizard, super efficient way of doing it. So and
that's everything it captures.
everything it captures. And it started off just as a text box, and you would type in, and it's difficult with your headset on. You'd be oh, I can play a component or something like that, and you'd look for something. But what is amazing is let's try the overlapper. So if I spawn the overlapper, you see these red spheres?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are objects you can hook onto, right?
Right.
So that right hand with the weapon on, I need to get down a bit for that. This is where being in first person helps, because I can actually reach that with my hand. A game where the overlapper. So normally we do have a widget in your hand that you'd see.
Yeah.
And this doesn't always work. Generally, the most performant way is just to go into the actual settings. So instead of typing things out, and we can try it. We can try some games where the overlapper does actually work pretty well. But these are the main things we said are useful that potentially people would want to mess around with. Now, the acknowledged pawn is just a player character, and the reason why this is a universal mod is because Unreal Engine forces structure at every level of the engine. So everything's kind of got the same name and category and structure. So This is always the player character, and yeah, it's going to be always at the top for you. We've just added these 2 buttons, so we can just attach the camera, and now that's first person. The relative one adds, like, you can then change an offset, so you can see these three XYZs.
Yeah.
I need to double check the build notes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, you got a tongue there. That's quite we've got the right trigger move around as well. I'd have to check whether this build I'm using is the one that fixes it. I'm going to do Sixtoff in a second. So I've adjusted that to what her head is. Okay. Now, obviously we can't play like that, because as soon as you move, the head comes back. And I think some of the worries about motion sickness are like your camera would be literally attached to the head, so as she moves her head down, your head would move down. But it's not doing that, right? We're kind of separated but attached at the same time, so it kind of solves that motion problem. I'm just going to put the freed off on now. I'll come back to this in a second. So now that, and I could make this a third person over the shoulder game.
All right.
So you could play like this.
Yeah.
And I think I set some of the guys on Saturday just like this with freed off as the showcase. And then what we did is let's recenter that. We're in her face. I'm going to reset that back up, because you do have to like save these. Now, in the player component, there's the top, and luckily these things we put them at the top. The components are where all the meshes are, and you get a big list, which is intimidating, but after a while, I've kind of learnt to read this, and anything with the word skeletal mesh is generally related to the character. You can see the word character there, right?
Yep.
And that's what we need to attach. But you've got stuff like player movement, particle components. I mean, you can go through this and read it, and I don't think there's ever going to be a way for us to quickly find these or isolate them, because game developers might have like one of these for the rocket launcher, for the shotgun, for the pistol, and they name them all differently, but generally this is everything that would attach to the player character. And sometimes you have like helmet meshes, armor meshes, and we'll see that in a second. So character mesh, I'm just going to turn that off. So
right, yeah.
Yeah, and the visible thing as well just helps you understand what mesh you're like looking at. So it's this one, and that deletes everything but the pistol and this thing. And I think
wow, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah. And within this, there's some children, and I think this is where you've got like short. I think it's the sword. No, it's not the sword. Component upgrade. Yeah, it's that. Okay. So you see, that was a child under character mesh.
Yeah.
So you could have to like, I think the pistol is in there as well. So where's the weapon? It might be. It's probably one of these, but we don't want to get rid of the weapon because we want to attach it. So now we do this. We're going to attach the right or left. So you could do it on the left hand or the right. And praydog in Trepang, you can do 2 at once, like one gun in right and one gun in left. But that becomes a bit more difficult to do universally, because like the projectile stream is only one stream of like bullets, right? And
yeah.
So I mean, but in theory, you can build on top of this and hook into it. So you attach stuff to the left, stuff to the right. So in theory, if you wanted to make a dual wield like mod for
right,
Trepang,
yeah, I get yeah.
knock yourself out. So I'm going to attach this to right, permanent, adjust. Okay. Let's start where. I think you do kind of want the object to be in your view, and I'm kind of looking around for it. I know I've attached it. It's probably like floating somewhere. Let me detach it. I'm going to reset my camera. That might be a bit better. Oh, it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Here we go. So that's floating. Let me just get it shooting for a bit. So with this 6-stop thing, once you found like the perfect flow of like click this, and then attach, it's all quite easy. But if you've not done it for the first time, like I'm doing now with this, one of the guys posted a video of them doing this earlier. Destroy business estates. I'm just going to reload the cycle because resetting a level removes all the attachments if you don't save it. So this is a good way of just like if you've completely screwed everything up. Because if you
no doubt I'll do it 1,000 times.
Yeah, because when Praydog gave us this build, he gave us very little instructions and just said, "Oh, don't attach capsule components." And I'm just a gamer, right? I don't any of this stuff. So I ended up breaking the game so many times. But within like an hour, I was posting videos on Twitter about 6-stop controls. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do attach to camera. And that's the gun there. Player model. Components. Skeletal mesh. Attach to right. That's now on my hand, so I just need to hide her so it doesn't look cursed wherever she's gone. Like that. So the adjustment.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I see. That's really clever.
This. Again, I'm like, ooh, it's not really the perfect starting point of where I should be doing it. So we're doing this literally. I think I probably wanted relative. So I'll just reload it again. And the thing is, like one of the guys would make a perfect adjustment and then just send me the file and I'd load it in. Yeah. I wouldn't have to do any of this. But just one person has to do it and then you're all good. So I'm going to get relative. I think I need to move myself up a bit. Keep a mesh for now, just to make it easier to see where it is. Okay, it's there. I can reach that. Hopefully I don't hit my monitor. I'm going to move back a bit. Sorry if you can't hear me. Yeah.
No, I can hear him. I can hear him.
Cool.
It's unbelievable the amount of things you can do to alter these games as well. Like now we're making this first person with just the gun in your hand.
Yeah.
A totally third person game.
I think maybe he was doing a child somewhere. It's children. Oh, play first person mode. Oh yeah, I noticed this actually when I was exploring. Let me load this up because this you can see what developers have been doing because Robocop has a bunch of VR components in it.
Right.
So I'm like, well. What does that mean? They must have been doing something. So when I actually found, character mesh, skeletal character mesh, and then in the children, first person mode component. Oh, attach camera to. So that is their first person. Oh, actually, and look, you can see that's almost center. So you can see that's actually what their first person mode would be. That's quite interesting. Actually, now
so maybe something for PSVR 2. Possibly in the future.
I think that is a PSVR 2 thing, right?
It looks very much like that angle from where I'm looking.
And actually, now we've attached there, I think that's an easier point to then do. Oh, it's an empty array. It's weapon, small shield, player component, first person player component. So yeah, these are the things. Let me put the motion controls on in a second. Freed off. And freed off works. Okay, so that's not so good if you're turning around.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this has been quite a bad demonstration.
No, I think people will get the gist of what you can do.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
Ashok posted a picture of his like perfect 6-6 dog like this morning, which is why I re-downloaded this before you called, just to see if I could do it as well. I'm gonna reload. Let's give it one more time and see if I can get it. Because there's some games which are really easy to do, and there's others which pose problems.
But like you say, it's a file, and then someone could send you the file, then you just import that, and then it's and off you go to play a third-person game, first person, with the gun.
The main one, just the player.
See, I'm one of these guys that likes to tinker as well, so I could see me spending days just messing around with these sort of settings, and then not actually even playing the game.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Let's go to mesh, character mesh. I think I need to kind of be shooting when I do this. Don't have much time to do it. Because, you see, she's on my controller, right? So now it's just a case of adjusting it. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go. That looks good. Obviously, it looks cursed, but now we just hide that. Oh, so we added this permanent change. This really helps the projectiles come from, well, attach better, and also when we go into different levels. So it's slightly off, but okay. So she was pointing it down, right? When she was in rest mode, so that's why that's gone up. So I need to attach it there. So, like, if I remember that in 3D space, right? It was there, somewhere there.
Yeah, right about that.
Where am I? Where is it? Somewhere. Oh, it's close. I've got it a bit closer. Oh, yeah. So left trigger now when I'm aiming. That's a bit closer. So I just need. So third-person games a bit more difficult because of these character animations. If I move that down a bit. What was that? That's a bit better.
Yeah, I totally see what you mean. It's just trial and error, isn't it? Trying to get it set right, and then.
So, and you can see the projectile's not going the right way because you also need that read-off one as well. So that is better. It just needs a bit of an adjustment to the mesh. So again, like someone could probably spend.
Yeah. A lot of time playing around with it and get it.
Yeah, the exact.
Yeah, get it exact set up.
So now I'm just thinking like in personal space. My hand's here, the gun's there, so I need to move my hand down here. Oh, that's close. That's close. That's close. So we did initially actually like trial some different overlap objects. You see that's like a blue block, blue box. We did have like a red prober, I would call it. But you'd have to find a material that is in every Unreal Engine version, and that was super difficult. So this is just a line drawn about like 50 times to make a box. So I need to move this back and to the right. Back and to the right.
And with the Unreal games, it's from like, is it version 4.1?
So PD said 4.1, but I think because he was asking questions in the village hall where I was, and it was super noisy. Yeah. And I can't remember what version Abzu is on, but Abzu is one of the biggest, earliest games. I think the very earliest game was a game called Fortified. I think that's like 4.12, but don't take it as gospel. Check the spreadsheet. Okay, we're all there. Let's hide the what was that thing? It was like an upgrade mesh, right? It was called something like what was on my back? Sword sheathed. Oh, upgrade mesh. I think as you get like different power-ups. And what is that? Oh, that's the visor. That's the visor, right?
Looks like it.
Yeah, looks like a visor. So, maybe this.
You can make like individual bits. That's crazy.
So let's see if we can get another weapon, like a two-handed one.
I mean, that worked really well. Even just that.
So that was very under pressure, right?
Yeah, well, definitely.
I think I've got like a dash, and it's like it's like power ups. The problem is it's only when you got left trigger up,
right,
that it does it. Like stuff like this, and you'll find it looks quite jittery, like my hand shaking, because the freed off motion controls that we added, we have a where is it? A smoothing slider. So this was added because when we turn this on, every tiny micro movement of the controller, or like the tracking of it, was captured, and you can see that with the 6-DoF.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that smoothing on the 6-DoF stuff yet. So you have to hold it very still. And I don't think any of the guys noticed on Saturday, but the freed-off is super smooth like a Wiimote. You don't have any of these little jitters. Oh, pretty cool. So it's not perfect, obviously, but
just a scale of what you can. I mean, I was like hoping to tweak just a few UI settings, like you were showing me. You know, moving it backwards and forwards, and moving the camera slightly behind, or making them smaller. Not to remove the characters from the game, make it first person, and you've just got a gun in your hand.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even think. It's crazy.
Wait, what's up there? Yeah, I mean, this. The cool thing is, like, I was about to test stuff, right? That Red game, and that just came out. And when we had Returnal, we had a little party in the Discord, and we were all kind of like racing to be the first one to inject it. And like, oh, do you gamble on injecting it just as it's like compiling the shaders, or when you see the Sony logo?
Right.
I think I won that, and I did it as soon as the game like was like a window, and clicked inject, and I think I was the first one in. So. Yeah, it's kind of cool that on release, you don't have to wait for developers to consider being nice to you as a VR player. Like, you get to enjoy the release with everyone else playing it flat.
Yeah.
And like all your friends, like co-op, you can play this with someone on the PS5. So, like crossplay. But I mean, in the out-of-box state, I would say the 6-DoF in this, I would probably leave it until someone makes a specific plugin. So let's detach all this. I'll just reload it. Restart cycle.
I've not made you now spend the next 4 days making a 6-DoF plugin for this.
No. Yeah, I mean a lot of my thing. And actually, if you notice, the freed-off controls, if you leave them on cutscenes, it moves the world. That's really uncomfortable. So if you do use it, you have to remember to keep your hand really still in a cutscene. That's something where you would really need like a tailored thing to be like, in a cutscene, change the control input to this, and you could do that if you spent a lot of time making it perfect. But,
yeah.
Let's go back to with if I go back to game, you'll see that I can look up and down, and it kind of... Actually, are we in game mode? I think I've still got like stuff hooked. So some things like being able to delete your states, like how I set the different camera modes. We kind of want to have that with states as well. Like one gamepad slot would be 6-DoF controls, and then the other one would be normal gamepad. But at the moment, you're kind of going in for attaching stuff, or you have to reset the entire game. But hopefully with a bit of... And I think that's way down the line. I mean, some of that kind of quality of life stuff I think could be like a year away, but there's so many things. I mean, we were talking about like mixed reality stuff. Like I posted the videos. Actually, should we load another game? Because it's...
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, it depends how we are for time. I've still got some time left as well.
What's the time now? Because it's a universal injector, I feel like we should explore more games, right?
Should we try this game for the very first time in VR? No one's ever done this, ever. So
yeah, let's do it.
So my process for testing a game I've never tried, to save me some time, because some of these things are like, You don't have to do them for every game, but if you do and it needs it, it saves you 10 seconds. So I say no HMD in the launch options. I just turn on Steam input just for my controller, just to make sure it all works and like if there's like Xbox stuff. Then I just run it. Let's go. Just click play. So it's opening.
Is this the one that's very like Mario Paper World type?
Yeah, I think so. I literally, I saw it was Unreal Engine. I didn't look at any of the trailers. I just saw it was an Unreal Engine game and bought it. So we'll see. We'll see. So Born of Bread, and I'm going to click inject. So here you can see the folders with all the configs. So I've got a lot in there. And you can import, export. You got links to his GitHub, the Patreon, the Discord, and some just very basic stuff. OpenVR, OpenXR, whether you're going to launch with native or sync. So we'll go in native, OpenXR, inject. Go to our headset. It would probably take me more time to switch. Switching the plugin in OBS takes longer than actually going in.
I know what you mean.
So now we're in here, and well, that's good news for this test. It's working, which is a relief. Let me just get my glasses off again. What time is it? It's 2:30. Yeah, it's fine. I need to pick my girlfriend up from work in about 40 minutes, but we're all good.
Oh, it's fine, man. I mean, I'm happy to go as long as you are. Like I said, my daughter will be back in about 20 minutes, something like that. So we've got a good 20 minutes left.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw that, but the everything was kind of like in the wrong place. So I just did like the reset. We do a reset as soon as like the headset like turns on. You know, from like sleep mode. Like as soon as you inject, it does a reset. But it depends where your headset it's on. And normally mine's like on the floor. So it's always good to do that. Hopefully that's not too much of a barrier of entry for people.
I don't think so, no. I mean, because we all do that anyway, especially content creator stuff. We've always got headsets knocking about all over the place when we're first recording. And that looks pretty good.
Yeah, like, so...
I can see the scale of it.
Yeah, low-end games like this. And the thing is, like, depth of field. So I've got depth of field happening on this cooker.
Yeah.
The depth of field works if you don't make your camera offset. So if I make a camera offset... Wait. Why is the depth of field also working on this? Okay, the depth of field on this is really good. Normally it breaks, and so let me just go to advanced mode. So normally anything with depth of field, we would turn off here. But see, that's gone now. No depth of field. And it's back again. So these are variables that we pull from Unreal Engine, which are super useful. One of my favorites is this. Let me make this a bit wider so we can actually read the stuff. Is the upscale algorithm, which does like a DLSS thing, but not as good. Yeah. And you just turn it on, turn on upsampling. There's different quality levels that cost different amounts. I like free. And then you just go into the screen percentage. It's at 100 now, so it's not doing any upsampling. You could increase it so it does super sampling, but to increase performance, I put it down to like, I don't know, 80, and it looks like the same. And I've probably just got about 20 more FPS. So
yeah, wow,
that's a cool thing to add. And there's even stuff like this button does screen space global illumination. I think I played some other game and I turned it on. It suddenly had like ray trace lighting. It doesn't work for everything, but it's an interesting one. This one culls some lights that can cause problems. You can turn off motion blur. Yeah, depth of field, sometimes that causes problems. Generally, you don't have to touch stuff like this in here. One thing I do like for LCD displays is we have a minimum black level. I don't know if you can see that.
Nice. I can see the difference, yeah.
Yeah, so that to me is super crunchy. Like, that looks like I've just got a headset upgrade.
Yeah. I can see the difference now just on the flat, screen that you're showing me here.
And you've got like the gamma thing, and you could change the gamma. Slowly build that up, and like just can find a decent spot. And there's the midpoint as well. Like if you want to,
it's kind of reshading the game on the fly for you.
Yeah. I did say to the guys, there's always other saturation things, and I was like, wait, stop. That's just reshade. Let's just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, the only annoying thing is I need a little reset button here. Now I'm thinking about it, because you can just control-click any of these. You can do. I don't know if my keeping's working.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You can
reset it back.
Yeah. But yeah, that looks fine. Again, we've never played this before ever in VR, so I don't know what this game is.
I mean, I saw it briefly. I think I saw a trailer for it, and I thought, oh, it looks like that, Paper Mario one. I can't remember what it's called, if it was called Paper Mario, so you have to forgive me. But I wasn't that fussed about it. But now I've seen this, I kind of want the game.
Ooh, undercooked, stale, buttery. Yeah.
Oh, it's giving slightly different
gluten-free
settings on that. Yeah.
No idea.
Gluten-free mode.
High contrast. So again, like this game's settings are super simple, and it doesn't have any DLSS or upscaling, or even depth of field or motion blur. So having those in the settings accounts for kind of indie games, things where you can actually turn that off and help things. So I'm going to put the depth of field back on because it seems really quite good here. We're going to start a new game. And like Denny from Cloudhead Games, I think, was baiting me on Twitter by saying flat to VR is like, I don't know if you saw that tweet, my response or not. I made a little video.
I did see it, yeah.
Yeah,
I just saw it.
It's like, oh, stuff like this will really ruin your experience. I literally couldn't care. It looks awesome. Like, I get developers who are like, this looks terrible for users, they're going to complain. Okay. Like, immediately I think this game looks good, even with all that stuff, because I'm focused mainly on the focal point. And
yeah, exactly.
I can fly around if I want to. It shouldn't be here, and I can be like, ooh, what's down there? And just reset myself back.
I don't know what to say. I'm totally amazed by it.
Yeah. Ooh. So a game like this world looks quite desaturated, and a lot of I think Elliot said something about Western and Eastern people have different views on contrast, something weird like that. I think it's like a psychology thing about what people prefer, but I quite like a nice black level.
I do as well. I'm all about the black levels, man. Totally.
Yeah, so this one, annoyingly, I said to praydog, like, you're only changing because if you go too far, so it's like a tiny part of the bar you're actually changing. I was like, we need to change the scale on that, which makes, because it's quite, we have to be quite sensitive with it. But yeah, I mean, clearly I'm not supposed to look over there, but there's cool stuff everywhere. I mean, this, and people are like, oh, it's a 2D game. I mean, why would you want to? I mean, they're sprites, but it looks awesome. It's like a pop-up book.
Yeah, it does look good.
So
I mean, I can tell. I think people in the VR universe will be able to tell, kind of imagine what this looks like in the mind while just viewing this, because they can see the depth, they can see the shapes.
Yeah. And like, I wouldn't want to play this flat. Any 3D game, what's that? And I can see some weird stuff over there. But and like, people are worried about, you see there the cutscene moves me somewhere else, and people are worried about like motion things, but that's just like a teleport to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm desensitized to it, but I'll have to see how people manage, because we can try and add accessibility options as much as we can, but I think there's a large audience that will appreciate just like the default.
Oh, totally.
Cool. Can we get some gameplay? That would be nice. Wait, not really. Yeah, stop talking. Yeah. Ooh, we're in a kitchen. Yeah. So I very quickly went over the inputs. We've got D-pad, the emulation, left jump, thumb rest, left joystick, left thumb rest, right joystick. Replace a joystick entirely with a D-pad, good for fighting games. And we're going to try and add some more, which is both grips and then a stick for Steam VR, because they don't have the capacitive stuff. We've got the snap turn. That's still in progress. The teleport. I experimented with this first in Trepang when Narcon sent it to me, and it was pretty awesome. It just like imported the default Unreal Engine project teleport into a game, and it was working. And you could just teleport and like move the stick. But that still will work. I don't know whether we'll get that ready or not. And room scale movement, obviously in a third person game, if I tick that on and move around, some real weird stuff happens. But in a first-person game, or even Returnal, if I turn that on, I can just like move around my room, and it will move the player character at the same time. You have your camera slots, so you can save them or dial them in here. The decoupled pitch is the thing that fixes you to the horizon. If you don't want to do like the movement look, similar to Elden Ring's Lucross camera. Yeah, you've got all these CVARs. These compatibility things are. We said we didn't want to have any code to specific games. These are Unreal Engine only fixes, but they're kind of for specific games. Like the split screen one lets us play It Takes Two. And it kind of fixes some other split screen games like the Medium, but this is very like not that developed. Extreme compatibility mode, we hope maybe in future things like Sea of Thieves and Days Gone and things with really weird Unreal Engine games can just, this is more like a brute force method of doing it. And there's a few other like weird things. This one fixed Jusant, and maybe it'll fix some other games, so we put that in. This debug thing is mainly for praydog and for developers. And then you've got the plugin loader. So if you drop in a little DLL someone has made, you just click load on that, and then you'll be playing with whatever motion controls or stuff that they put in. And we've kind of finished the UI, so I mean that's it. Other than we're going to add the colorblind stuff as well, because one of the guys couldn't read the green, so we're going to change the grayscale mode for it as well.
I mean, I'm amazed, mate. I know I've not really said much. I've not said much apart from and stuff, things like that, but I've just been in total awe on how good this is.
I
was expecting it to be good, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't expecting the amount of detail that you've all gone to get this going. It's
this game has literally come out like 1 hour ago. And we're playing
I know it's just come out today.
And it's essentially
straight away,
to me, feels like a VR game. Like if this was on the Quest store, people would buy it, right?
Totally. I want to buy it now. And I wasn't bothered about it when I first saw the trailer.
And clearly it's like a side scroller thing, but there was obviously another environment, and like you can either go further in or so with this one, let's try attaching to the object, which is the character. And bam, and here we are. So whatever the camera is, whatever the player is, you're attached to it. Now with these kind of games, actually let me show the movement. You'd have to move left. So I'd have to hold left to be moving forward, and your brain just can't do it. So like other VR games, we have movement orientation. So you could do like head movement. So if I do the right controller, I should move wherever. So I'll push forward, but point back. So I'm pushing forward and I'm pushing back. It's just where my controller is pointing, basically.
I get you.
So now I can actually walk around in first person a little bit. So games like Octopath, I could actually leisurely walk around. I'd have to turn, but I don't have to like remap my brain for left, back, forward, and stuff like that. So I don't think people will play the game like this, right? But there might be a really awesome town, and they just want to chill with some music.
Have a walk around in first person.
Yeah, and then you just kind of like
I get the usage of that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just go back to playing it, and of course you just gamepad controls still working. I mean, I'm so excited for this. I think it really is a sleeping hit. I think the game industry really has not seen anything yet, right?
No, I agree. I think this is going to be. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the word game changer.
No.
I'm totally. This is amazing. And I mean, I just want to thank you as well, because this is the first time I spoke to Alex, and I basically just messaged him on the off chance, because I know how busy you're going to be. Just saying, look, can we have just a quick 20-minute chat? Maybe I'll pop it on the podcast, and it's turned into like an hour odd. So I'll probably put this out as a separate total podcast altogether, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Right. So in terms of release, we were talking about this. I mean, on that podcast with the Crewcast, I said, it'd be really great if it was Christmas Day or something like that. It'd be really cool. And then obviously a bunch of like news articles made
Yeah.
Oh, releases Christmas Day. No, it's just Alex. Like, this is praydog UEVR. Like, there's praydog, and then there's like me. I'm the guinea pig, right? And we were talking about this, and we thought, actually, if we release it Christmas Day, all these content creators, YouTubers, and us as well, like me included.
Yeah, we're going to spend all Christmas Day doing it, yeah.
All Christmas making like tutorials, documentation, answering questions. Like, maybe we just like say a release date and then, or leave it until next year or after Christmas, like in January, I don't know. I know there's like an hilarious thread on the Discord guessing what day it's going to come out, but like, we're just people, right? We're not like a game studio.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably after over Christmas, we probably should spend time with our families. The thing is, I want to actually play some VR, like Asgard's Wrath 2 and stuff coming at Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, that comes out soon. It comes out next week, isn't it? So
because I've stopped playing games. Like, my job is just like playing a game for like 30 minutes, testing it, and then going on to the next one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I mean, I know you messaged Gary back and forth a few bits about us trying to get down, and apologies we couldn't get down.
There would have been too many people.
Oh yeah, probably, yeah. But I know like PD and Buck and Scorpio, and I know GT and that, they all went as well. So I'm glad they got to try it out. And PD's basically not shut up about it, messaging me stuff since he's got back.
He's been messaging me. He ended up buying a bunch of the games that we showcased.
Just want to thank you again and look forward to seeing it. I just want to check as well. Did you record all this?
Yep, I'm recording. Let me stop it. And
I've got a horrible feeling that you told me to record it all, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I've not recorded none of the videos.